Oh.
So my kids are going to be so confused by the time they
Oh,
can start
wow.
talking.
We're talking about animal names. Wow.
Sugar, Spice, Moose, Bear, there's no limit.
Do what makes you happy.
I guess so, yeah. Right.
Thanks for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. We have big stories to share, including the release of one of the officers involved in the murder of George Floyd. And then we're catching up with our crew at the Democratic National Convention and checking on the GOP candidates in the Midwest. But first, we have to check on the weather, Ben.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, and we actually have some clouds overhead. This is not the wildfire haze, so if you look outside and you actually do see the sun being obscured by clouds, that's exactly what's happening. Now, we are tracking some showers that are moving across parts of eastern South Dakota right now. I think these showers are going to catch into the steering winds and stay well away from us here in east central Minnesota. But if you are along and southwest of the Minnesota River Valley, plan on seeing a few light rain showers as we head deeper into the day. Here's a live look outside, and yes, it does look kind of cloudy. We do have some clouds overhead, mid and high level clouds giving us that filtered sunshine. And your hour by hour forecast looks like this. Temperatures topping off in the mid to upper 70s today. I think we are going to stay totally dry as we head into the rest of the afternoon. Overall, quiet weather will continue over the next several days. Now, later this week, specifically later Thursday into Friday morning, we have a couple of smaller chances for showers. I don't think it's going to be a deal where all of us gets wet, but it's something to pay attention to as the state fair begins on Thursday. And yes, the summer heat returning just in time for the weekend. We'll talk about how high the thermometer will go coming up, Cece.
Yeah, enjoy those cooler temps for now. Thanks, Ben. Our top story this afternoon. Today, one of the former Minneapolis police officers convicted in the death of George Floyd is expected to be released from prison. Michelle Beck shows us what comes next for him.
Today's the day Thomas Lane becomes the first former police officer convicted in the death of George Floyd to be released from prison. The former Minneapolis police officer has been serving the rest of his state sentence at the Englewood Prison in Colorado. 4 months ago, Lane completed his federal one. He pled guilty to depriving George Floyd of his civil rights in May 2020, also to state charges of aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Lane will enter supervision today, then all that his full sentence will expire exactly 1 year from now. Meanwhile, of the 4 officers involved in the death of George Floyd, Derek Chauvin has the longest sentence. He'll be serving more than 20 years time, as well as both Tou Thao and J. Alexander King. They'll complete their sentences next year. In Minneapolis, Michelle Beck, KARE 11 News.
Thanks to Michelle for that update. Now to the race for the White House. It's day 2 of the Democratic National Convention, where we'll see more political leaders take the stage. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris will be headed to Wisconsin. Audrey Russo has more details.
Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are likely already on their way or just about to make the hour-and-a-half drive from Chicago to Milwaukee. The doors will open at 4 for a rally they're holding in the battleground state of Wisconsin. Meantime, the DNC back in Chicago is gearing up for night 2. Former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama are the headline speakers for the primetime program that begins in about 6 hours from now. Convention organizers are also trying to highlight Republican support for Harris. Tonight, Republican TV host Ana Navarro will serve as MC. Last night, a former pro-Trump pundit addressed the crowd in a pre-taped speech, that theme of bipartisan support carrying through last night's headliner, President Joe Biden.
I made a commitment to you that I be a president for all Americans, whether you voted for me or not.
Another thing to keep an eye on tonight, the celebratory roll call that will formalize Harris and Walz's place on the ticket. Harris already earned the nomination earlier this month. Convention planners say the roll call will happen before the primetime speakers take the stage. They say that it's something that you can expect to be a high-energy event, very unique, with a DJ on stage. Back to you.
Well, thanks to Audrey for that. Several Minnesotans are at the DNC, including Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. She's one of the convention's co-chairs. Our John Croman is in the Windy City with how our state is being represented.
Some of the delegates who came to the United Center told us that they originally expected this to be kind of a somber duty, but now the mood has switched. It's become electric here. The Minnesota delegation we found is near the front of the arena, a clear sign that the North Star State has been catapulted to a more high-profile position because Governor Walz is on the ticket now. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, as one of the DNC vice chairs, nodded to the legacy of the longtime politicians and activists during her welcome remarks.
The fight for freedom always passes from one generation to the next. We owe it to them and to ourselves to carry their legacy forward.
Congressman Dean Phillips applauded Joe Biden's decision to step out of the race. He said it took a lot of courage and it's not something you see every day here. He also didn't know how he would be received at this convention because he mounted an unsuccessful primary challenge to the president. But we saw Dean Phillips getting a lot of high fives and hugs, selfies, and media interviews at this event. Back to you.
Well, for more on the DNC, stick with KARE 11 this week, and John Croman will be back with coverage tonight at 6. This week, the Republican ticket is focusing on key battleground states. Today, former President Donald Trump is stopping in Michigan. Both Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, made appearances in Pennsylvania yesterday. Vance spoke at a rally in Philadelphia, criticizing Vice President Harris for not taking questions from journalists and questioning Governor Tim Walz's military record. Meanwhile, Trump did a roundtable at a factory in York, Pennsylvania, talking about the economy, where he took aim at Harris's plan.
Our plan will massively cut taxes, unlock American energy, slash regulations, big factor, crack down on trade cheaters and stop outsourcing, rebuild our industrial base and bring back those beautiful words, made in the USA.
Today's Michigan event will focus on crime and safety. Tomorrow, Trump and Vance will appear together in North Carolina to discuss national security. Then Trump heads to Arizona to talk immigration. Back at home today, in a little more than an hour, Hennepin County commissioners are planning to vote on a much smaller pay bump for themselves. It comes after a lot of public scrutiny over the initial proposal of a 49% raise. The new proposal would give them a 5% raise in 2025 and another 5% in 2026. They say those bumps are in line with past costs of living adjustments. The latest plan also includes a pay increase for Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty and Sheriff Witt. Well, right now, some of your most personal information may be in the hands of hackers. National Public Data, a Florida-based background check company, was hacked, exposing millions of people's info, including their social security numbers. Heidi Wigdahl shows us what you can do to protect yourself.
Another data breach is in the news, with the breach exposing 2.7 billion records of Americans' personal information.
That does not necessarily mean that we are talking about 2.7 billion people. It means simply 2.7 billion rows in an Excel file. Think about it like that.
Faisal Kaleem is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Cybersecurity and director of the cybersecurity programs at Metro State University. He says while centralizing data can be efficient, it also is at a higher risk for large-scale breaches.
There's a single point of failure as well. They are more vulnerable to being compromised through a single misconfiguration or vulnerabilities.
Kaleem says according to cybersecurity experts who analyze the data, this breach involves about 134 million unique email addresses and 272 million social security numbers. But that also includes data from people who are dead. Still,
you are talking about a big possibility of identity theft.
It also includes phone numbers, addresses, and dates of birth. And if your data was breached, you're more susceptible to phishing scams.
My data is breached. All of a sudden, I've been receiving tons of phone calls, tons of email.
Cybersecurity firm Pentester has an easy way online to check if your data was involved in the breach. Even if you are not involved, Kaleem says everyone should be putting a freeze on their credit files at the 3 major credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. It's free to do it and will prevent criminals from taking out loans, signing up for credit cards, and more under your name. Kaleem also recommends getting free credit reports from the 3 bureaus.
Well, today, U.S. Senator Bob Menendez is expected to officially resign from office. The New Jersey senator was convicted of 16 federal corruption charges in July. Those include bribery, extortion, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice. New Jersey's governor will appoint his former chief of staff as an interim senator. He'll continue the term that ends next year. Menendez will be sentenced at the end of October and could face up to 222 years in prison. As ceasefire talks continue in the Israel-Hamas war, the bodies of 6 Israeli hostages have been found. Israel officials say forces brought the bodies back during an overnight operation. They have all been identified and their families have been contacted. Military officials say 5 of the people were killed while being held in Gaza. Boeing is once again delaying one of its newest planes after test flights revealed cracks in its structure. The 777X jetliner test fleet is now grounded while the company replaces the defective part. Boeing has already gotten more than 5,800 orders for the new planes that are expected to be sent out next year. It's already 5 years behind schedule, though. In other news this afternoon, after 2 successful nights at U.S. Bank Stadium, Metallica left behind an extra special gift here in Minnesota. The rock band made a $40,000 donation to People Serving People. It provides services for people and families experiencing homelessness. The nonprofit posting on Instagram, gifts like this make all their programs and services possible. What a great gift. Well, the Great Minnesota Get Together kicks off in just 2 days, which means organizations are putting together final preparations. This morning, a pre-fair tradition started at the Minnesota DNR building. Staff are stocking the outdoor pond and indoor fish tanks with about 3 dozen species of fish, ranging from sunfish to lake sturgeon. The live fish exhibit is one of the State Fair's most popular attractions. You can also come out to see us at the State Fair every day. Alexis will be at the Care Barn during our noon show with live interviews, and we're taking you through some of the foods you can try out. It'll be a lot of fun. We've got everything from the newest vendors to your State Fair staples. We'll see you there starting Thursday.